This is Ryan Michael speaking with Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner. We got some questions pertaining to the indoor game. You ready for that?
You got it. Good time in my career, so always happy to talk about it.
So the first question I want to ask you, Kurt, is how did your experience with the Iowa Barnstormers help to mold your later development at the NFL level?
You know, it's always a fascinating question because I get the question a lot about how arena football or indoor football helped me. And, you know, oftentimes I feel like it's kind of like the chicken or the egg, is that, you know, which came first? Because in arena football, the indoor game, it's so much faster. It's about making quick decisions. It's about being accurate with the football because the windows are smaller, the areas are smaller. And so, you know, I always ask myself, you know, as I look at my career later, those would be things that would define my career, my ability to process information, to think fast, and to be extremely accurate with the football. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I always ask myself, okay, were those things that were a part of my game that just got honed in arena football, or were those things that I needed to learn and things that I needed to get better at so I could have the success in the NFL? I don't know the answer to that, but all of that to say, there's no question one way or another, arena football helped to improve what I did as a quarterback and helped to define what I would be at the next level. So it was so valuable for me, you know, when I got to the big field. You know, the game was slower. You know, the windows were bigger. And so the things that I learned and things I had to do in indoor game made the game outdoors easier. Now, you know, the outdoor game with 11 guys and there's more complicated schemes and there's other things that become bigger challenges. But those things that can oftentimes be a real challenge for guys taking the step to the next level and taking the step to the NFL. Everybody talks about the speed of the game. And for me, that wasn't a hard transition because the speed of the game, of the indoor game, was faster than the NFL, you know, just in terms of how you had to process things and get the football out. So one way or another, whether it honed my skills or whether it taught me some of those skills, the skills that I had to use in indoor football would be things that would ultimately define my career and allow me to have success at the next level.
Mm-hmm. You know, going back to your time with the Iowa Barnstormers, was there any other indoor football league quarterbacks at the time that you looked up to?
I mean, I looked up to all the guys that were successful in that league, and there were different guys at different times. A guy like Cedric Bonner, who was a guy that played for the Arizona Rattlers, and they were so successful. And he was a guy that I know got a couple opportunities in the NFL, and so he was a guy that you model your game after in arena football because he had played and he had been successful with it. And then you also wanted to, you know, model your game after him because he got an opportunity at the next level. And so he was one of those guys. Mike Perez played for the Albany team when I was in the league. And he was a guy I believe that got an opportunity in the NFL, but was so good. We had a great rivalry with Albany. So a guy I watched play a whole bunch. You know, John Kaleo was a guy when I first got into the league. We were in a division with the St. Louis team, and he was the quarterback there, and he was extremely accurate and good with the speed of the game. So I think just like, you know, no matter what level you're at, you see guys that are successful at that level, and you say to yourself, what can I learn from them? What do they do well? Or you just admire their ability to play the game, even if it's something that you don't do or may not ever do extremely well. You know, you enjoy watching those guys and the skills that they bring to the table.
Absolutely. What advice would you give to young quarterbacks in the IFL now? Young quarterbacks like E.J. Hilliard here in Quad City. What advice, having been through it yourself, would you give to those guys who are looking to make a name for themselves in professional football?
I mean, I think the first thing, you know, the first piece of advice is, I always tell, no matter what level, no matter where quarterbacks are, is understand who you are as a quarterback. is that, just as I was talking about those guys that I looked up to, there's always the combination of going, oh, what this guy does, I do well. So I'm going to try to, watch them and learn from them. And then there's other guys where you go, man, he's really good at that, but that's just not my game. So you have to, at times, avoid those things. We all want to think that we can do everything, right? We all want to have all the best of everybody. But I think it's so key to understand what you're good at. And, you look at all the guys. I was just on Twitter the other day after I was watching a game with Steve Young and Troy Aikman, and I was just like, build me the perfect quarterback and tell me who's the best at this, being, good in big games and decision making and processing information and accuracy and all these different attributes. And, for me, each one of those attributes, there's a different guy that was the best at those different things. And that to me was always the key in my mind is, okay, I want to separate myself. I got to be the best at something. What can I be the best at? Where can I separate myself and be unique? And I think me and Peyton Manning is a great example of obviously two guys in the Hall of Fame and two guys that had great success. Peyton was a guy that played the game before the snap.
Yep.
And he was unbelievable, the best, in my opinion, to ever do it before the snap.
No doubt.
Seeing that and being able to get into the right play. That was not me. I could have tried to be Peyton Manning, and I was a good quarterback, but that would not have played to my strengths. I was better after the snap. I was better at processing information. So for me, it was get up, snap the ball, and react to what you see, and that's what separated me. So I had to understand, as good as Peyton was, I admired what he did, but that couldn't be me. I wasn't going to spend my time trying to become Peyton because that was not my gifting. And I think that's so key for any quarterback, any level, trying to separate themselves is know who you are. Know what your strengths are. Know how you can be different from everyone else. Because if you want to make a name for yourself, you got to separate yourself. You got to be different. You got to set yourself apart. How can you set yourself apart?
Absolutely. And I think that's a good segue to my next question. I wanted to ask you, can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing with Quarterback Confidential, what it is you offer, and how it might be able to help quarterbacks in our league here in the IFL?
Well, the biggest thing for me is that I played so much football, and I believe I have a lot of knowledge, and I believe I'm a good teacher of the game. But I have all this knowledge in there, and I'm done playing. And even though I've coached high school football and I do some individual coaching, I've always said to myself, there's so many guys out there that I want to help be great at what they do. And there's no way that I'm ever going to be able to touch all of these guys. You have quarterback trainers in different places that can get their hand on, 200 guys, 250 guys. You have a bunch of other quarterbacks that can't afford a quarterback trainer to pay him that much. So Quarterback Confidential, QB Confidential was my way of saying, here's a chance for me to coach the masses and to create something that's not out there, to create something that's affordable for everybody, and to create something that I believe can help quarterbacks at any level, whether you're a beginner, whether you're a high school quarterback, college quarterback, even an NFL quarterback. And it's also for coaches. That's the other thing that I realized. You have all these quarterback gurus, and you have all these coaches out there, and they teach things different ways. And I think oftentimes they don't really know why they teach something. They were just taught, somebody told them to do it. And so to me, QB Confidential is all inclusive for offensive coaches, for quarterbacks to be able to grow in whatever area they need to grow. So when I built QB Confidential, in my mind, I thought to myself, okay, what are the important elements to playing quarterback? And so on Mondays, you get Blackboard Breakdown. And so that is learning the basics of the game and learning things like, we might just start with day one. Okay, what's a box count? What does that mean? And how does that relate to me? What does a front look like? A 4-3, a 3-4, what, so you're teaching the basics of the game. And obviously that might be, very simplistic for guys at the higher level, but we gradually, add on to it. Okay. The coverages and how do you attack different coverages and what are the basics for a defense within those coverages, and you just can continue to work on. So you're learning, kind of on a blackboard, the basics of being a quarterback and what defenses are doing and how you apply your offense to what defenses are doing. I have an ABC section which comes out on Tuesdays, which to me is about the arm, the body, and the core. So that's my on the field portion of teaching technique, quarterback technique. I think, lots of guys struggle with understanding how to throw a football. So, that can help anybody at any level to be able to learn the basics and build the proper habits to throw the football. Mm-hmm. On Wednesdays, I have my playbook. And so it's building a playbook if you're a coach. And more importantly, for a quarterback, it's understanding, the story, I call it, the story of a play. So when I go and look at a play or design a play, I ask the who, what, when, where, and why of the play. And so, that breaks down everything to what defense are we looking at? Who are we trying to get the football to? What's the route technique? And why is route technique so important to help me as a quarterback? The timing of the throw. And so it builds it from that perspective. And so you're seeing it from a quarterback perspective. I've got, a section on Thursdays that's about, he's called Outside the Box. And so it's about leadership. And it's about taking stories and things that I learned along the way to help quarterbacks become leaders and what that looks like, or help coaches to become leaders. And then my Fridays are my study ball, which is my chance to kind of go into the film room. And I'm always breaking down NFL tape and tying it into different things that I taught throughout the week or in past weeks on QB Confidential. So you get everything from blackboard to on the field to playbook to leadership to film room. That to me was all encompassing, and I don't think there's anything else out there like it. And so, I don't care what level you're playing at, I don't care what kind of football it is, you're going to be able to take elements from all of those different segments and apply them to your game. For some people, 2 or 3 of the segments may be more important at this time in their development than the others, but you're still going to get a wealth of knowledge, and you're going to be able to learn all the different facets of playing quarterback. So if you're a guy playing indoor football, it's not going to be exactly the same when we're watching film of 11 on 11. But there are going to be things that you can pull from it that pertain to playing quarterback, because there are so many similarities, no matter how many guys are out there on the field or what the schemes are, how difficult the schemes are. You're going to be able to take those different elements from it. And so I think it's rare. I think it's the only one out there like it. It's an unbelievable amount of information. And I think every quarterback and coach, should be following along. And there's so many different ways that a coach can take it and use it as a curriculum, because I've built it as a curriculum where, it builds, what we did last week can build into next week and those sorts of things. So coaches can take their quarterbacks through it, and, quarterback gurus can, use this as their classroom portion for the kids to watch it and then them to talk about it. And so it just really is a cool tool, and it became my way of going, I want to reach anybody and everybody, anybody that wants to learn the game and wants to gain knowledge. And even if you don't have a lot of money, here's a chance to invest in this. And if you're committed to it, you're not going to find any platform out there that is going to give you more information than what QB Confidential does. And so that's my pitch. And you sign up for it, you get 2 weeks free, and you can check it out. And so 2 weeks free means 10 different sessions, 2 sessions of each of those elements. Obviously also gives you access to be able to ask me questions and to build that rapport so I can help, kind of like what the 2 of us did to connect via Twitter. And so that to me is the beauty of it all, is it's a chance to, be coached by a Hall of Famer, to have access to some degree to a Hall of Famer. And if you want to be great at this craft, it takes, diving in, and it takes spending time, and it takes a commitment. And I've tried to commit on my side to be able to help anybody and everybody that wants to make that commitment on their side to be able to do that.
Well, I can speak firsthand. It's an incredible resource. So for my followers who are not already following Kurt, I couldn't encourage you more. Give him a follow at Kurt13Warner, and especially give a follow to at QB Confidential. You can also check out more details at www.qbconfidential.com. If you want to give me a follow, my Twitter handle's at @TheRyanMichael, Quad City Steam Whalers at QC Steam. Kurt, can't thank you enough for taking the time to connect with me tonight.
It is my pleasure to talk, and hopefully we'll be able to stay in touch. And if I can ever help down the road with you or your guys, please don't hesitate to reach out.